Hello and welcome everyone to the final and probably most exciting round of the IFL2 Championship. I am Alex Shanna. I'm here with Eli. We are going to be your broadcasters for today, and this is shaping up to be quite the battle to the end of the season here with Lewis Archer and Chris Byram both on the track fighting each other for the Drivers' Championship. Eli, how you feeling today?
Oh, I'm so excited today, Alex. Round 18 of IFL F2, the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim. This is going to be such an exciting race. It's a great track. It's really fun to drive. We've got a bunch of great drivers out here today. And we should be seeing some of these rivalries we've been talking about really play out, as this is the final race of the season.
Yep, we have big rivalry between teammates with Lewis Archer and Chris Byram. We have third place up for grabs mathematically. So you never know what can happen today. We could see some upsets. We could see some big stories unfolding that lead us into our next season of IFL, which will be our third season. So we're excited to see how things turn out today.
That's right. I mean, third place is up for grabs, as are first and second. Yet to find. The results of today will let us know who's going to place for the championships. It should be pretty exciting. We really have a battle between Lewis Archer and Chris Byram for first and second, with a fairly narrow point spread: 281 for Lewis Archer and 268 for Chris Byram. And then between Ivan Belkamp and Lewis Cologne, if Cologne can finish higher than Belkamp by enough of a margin, then he could potentially take that third place spot, with the difference between 213 for Ivan and 191 for Lewis. So quite an interesting race. This should be in some really good battles that can happen here, and we can potentially see some people switching positions within the championship.
Yep, we have 22 points between Cologne and Belkamp, and then we have the dreaded 13 points for Chris Byram to try and make up on Lewis Archer to try and get that upset, as we see there on the graphic on screen. It's going to be a close one no matter what way you cut it. Maybe we'll have some crazy turn one antics like we seem to have when the pressure is on, but it's going to be an exciting race either way. While we're in our points standings here, we are going to give a quick look over to our constructor standings, which technically is also up for grabs for second. Turning Point and Cuda Evo are within grasp of each other. We have the Cuda Evo team has both drivers for driving today, but Turning Point I believe only has no, they got both their drivers today. So it's even keel. You never know who can make up some points. Cuda Evo looking good the last few races, especially Ivan Belkamp sitting in third in points, really taking a big chunk of those points for Cuda Evo. So they're going to be trying to jump up to second and just get that silver rather than the bronze. But if we know Lewis Cologne and Cristiano Schegemann, they are not going to be they're not going to be deterred from some points, so they will be pushing hard, just like the Cuda Evo team. Then up top, we have our F2, our IFL2 champions, Cuda Works team, as we said before, battling it out for the individual drivers, but have locked away that constructors a couple weeks ago now. So they have done a fantastic job just driving some lights out racing here and just making it hard for anybody else to even catch up, because they've been so consistent and so fast.
That's right. That combination of Lewis Archer and Chris Byram has really been a force to be reckoned with this season, and we're really not seeing a one-to-one match for them as a team. So again, I am very excited to see them splitting up into two teams next season. We should see some vicious competition and a really, really fun grid.
Yep, and we are about 11 minutes into qualifying here. We have Archer sitting up on top with a 124.1 over Chris Byram, who has a 124.7. That is the matchup to watch today. We have I don't want to say surprising, because he's really quick in the F3, but Anthony Wallace driving his first F2 race, sitting there in third with a 125.0, doing a good job. Lewis Cologne sitting in fourth, new driver. So I am going to butcher the name. Matos will be sitting in fifth right now. Eric Beddoes in sixth, Steve Bunting in seventh, but we still do have the two Cuda Evo drivers in Daniel Thomas and Ivan Belkamp and Steve Grabowski and Cristiano Schegemann all sitting in with no times currently on the board. We know Ivan Baukamp is normally up near that top 3, same with Steve Grabowski and Cristiano Schegemann. So that could push some of these drivers down a little bit into 5th or 6th place. But we will see how things go. Hopefully we can see Daniel Thomas with a little more luck this week. We were cheering for him last week. Had a bad restart at Silverstone and ended up turning it going into the final complex last couple turns there. So we're cheering for you today, Daniel. Go get yourself a good result, my man.
Well, yeah, he was fast too, wasn't he, Alex? I mean, without those incidents that he had, boy, he was really putting on a show and really a good race for everyone.
Yep, yeah, and him just finding his way up into first. He was sitting real nice and pretty there, and it was, kind of devastating to see. We know he was quick. He had the place, he had the position, and I think he just got a little bit too much torque on those cold tires trying to get a good jump on the field, and it was like I said, kind of devastating to see him going off like he did. But we were hoping for a better result today from Daniel Thomas. And as of right now, 13 and a half minutes in, Daniel puts up a 125.5, putting him in the 5th place. There's that speed you were just talking about there, Eli. He is now up into 5th place there.
Yeah, and we saw it last week as well. He's able to do this, get on track, put down a solid lap, and show up some people that might not have been expecting it. But again, he's driving for a Kudo team. They're typically very fast, and once again, this is the case with Daniel.
Yep. Yeah, we normally have the Kudo team likes to work together all throughout the week and give each other tips and advice. From the Kudo Works team to the Kudo Evo team, help each other out any way they can, and that teamwork goes a long way. We see it in Lewis Archer and Chris Byram working together. They have already sealed off that constructor's title, and it shows. These guys are doing an awesome job throughout the week, each week in practice. So it'll be interesting to see Lewis Archer and Chris Byram splitting up for 2 different teams and seeing just how things unfold throughout the season. But the big thing first is we have to finish out this season, which is only a few laps away. We're gonna go.
Well, so far it looks like Lewis here is locking it down as far as qualifying goes.
Yeah, a full half second almost ahead of Chris Byram right now, which is really quick. That's going to be hard for Chris to combat that.
Yeah, I think he's trying to remind Chris just how fast he is.
Yep, yeah, that's, I think, a little bit of intimidation factor too. You put up a good time, and it's one thing, but when you put up a time that is half second faster than you are, and then you're already running your best, you're pushing your hardest, and you have, 3rd place Anthony Wallace is almost a full second, 9/10, and he's just blowing the field away right now. And I think that, just shows how much Lewis puts into the race and puts into practice throughout the whole week. Chris does the same, but Lewis has just been super quick this whole season, so it'll be a testament to his effort and his skill if he can pull this off and just take the win from Chris here. I think it'll be a little bit more complicated once we have all the cars on the track at once, but we'll see how things unfold.
Yeah, he wants this bad. He was our F3 champion from last season. So if Archer can pull this off, he'll be a 2-time champion in the league. And being the competitor is, I think, like you said, he's been working hard on this. I have to think he has. Of course, we'll hear from him afterwards, potentially, if he's on the podium, which very good possibility of. But Byram's also very, very quick in putting in the work. And we know that they, week after week, push each other, especially in the last portion of the season here. There's been some really good competition. Byram's been putting some really good results out. And on the podium quite a bit more often than he was early season. So it's got to be a big worry for Archer. And really here, this is his Byram's. Oop, there he goes.
Yeah, Byram only 2/10 back on his last lap. He's pushing a little hard. He had a purple sector and a green sector, and he just lost the back end. He has another 7 minutes or 8 minutes to get in a time, but I'm not sure what we'll see. He's probably adjusting his fuel levels so he can run that fuel down quicker, trying to get around the track. It is a 1.5 minute lap approximately, so he can potentially get 4 to 5 laps in here before he gets that big old 0 on the time clock for time to get a qualifying lap in. And we see Archer going 124 flat there, 124.076. Archer takes the fastest lap and just improves on his time.
Now, Alex, are you aware, is there a strategy for what starting position you want on this specific track? First and second, are they pretty equal? Are we going to have first, the pole position having an advantage here? What do you think?
I mean, you always want to be in pole. Everybody always wants to be in pole because then you get that big jump, approximately 8 meters in front of the guy behind you. Ooh, as we see Byram again losing it there on some cold tires, but let's see if we can't get a shot of the home stretch here. You see the home stretch on the left. That is a long run down to the front straight. And I cannot get, there we go. That's a long run down to the front straight there, and you can see that right-hander. If you're in second, you're going to have that inside line. The outside line is going to be taken up by first place. They have the entry point, but that second place, if they get a good jump, they might be able to jump on the inside. So Byram might not be in a bad position for it. He could be in for a good jump on Lewis Archer here.
That's right, yeah, especially with those cold tires, right? I mean, you've got that little kink right at the end of the straight that you kind of need to just tuck out into to get the best line through that corner. And yeah, I mean, Byram might have a good line where he can kind of push Archer out to the edge if he can get alongside of him. Now that's a big if. If Lewis gets a very good start here, it'll be a race right from turn 1 on.
Yep, yeah, it'll be all down to that start. I don't think either of them are going to give the other an inch. They've already got that constructors. They're going to battle until the end for that drivers championship. So it's going to be a fight every single lap, and that includes lap 1, turn 1. So I don't expect anything less but to see some wheel-to-wheel action for the first few laps here. And we see Chris Byram is on an out lap right now. He is currently trying to get a little bit of just some hot tire action going on, and he's pushing those curbs quite a bit there, as we see on the onboard. But he is really going to have to push in the last 5 minutes here, 4.5 minutes to be exact, and if he crosses that line, he gets another 2 minutes to put down a qualifying lap. But will it be enough? Is he going to be able to put up a competitive time against Lewis Archer there? Because Byram right now sitting 3/10 back. He's improved his time and picked up a little bit of speed that we didn't see before. But as we see a car beached on the track there trying to get himself going again, and Anthony Wallace. Byram probably had to slow up just the tiniest bit to get around him. He is going to get towards the end of his lap here through Sector 2. He'll be going into Sector 3. Just trying as hard as he can to get those tires warm. We're going to jump onto an onboard and see just how he does on his lap. If you could, Eli, take us through a lap here at Hockenheim.
For sure. So we're coming down the front straight here into Nord Curve, the first turn. This is going to be a lift. Try to keep it on the track and pull it over to the right-hand side here. The left-hand side. I'm going to slow down pretty hard here. This is a hard braking zone down into second. I'm trying to pull it out here. I'm going to be on the accelerator here through the straight. And we're coming down the parabolic here. Into this here, we're gonna run up into a hairpin. This is going to be another heavy braking zone. They're going to be braking right down into first.
Ooh, and we see Chris locking him up there and just hopping off track. Maybe he ran out of gas. But
very possible.
Let's try and hop on board somebody else going down that way. Here we go.
Back into the hairpin.
Nope.
Oh no, sorry. Nord curve.
Yeah, we'll follow his rival right now, Lewis Archer, making his way down the Parabolica. Pick up where we left off here, Eli.
That's right. So we're coming down the Parabolica. We're at full throttle. He is full on, and he's going to be stopping right about at the 75. Going to be shifting down into first, trying to pull this out, and he's going to line up right on the left-hand side here, just trying to keep it on the track and out of track limits. And right through here, we're going to be full throttle. Cutting across at apex, full throttle again, braking around to 75 to 50 here, down into second and first, make this turn. Coming through probably about third gear here and up to fourth. We're going to see him pull off throttle here and coast through this, trying to hug that inside apex, backing out to the right hand side, and then back into this hairpin here. And we're going to be down in second gear, trail braking, coming out. And then this little section here, he's probably in third, coming in here, about second here, and back onto second, and then full throttle out here to this straight.
Yep, and that is a lap on the Hockenheimring. We see Lewis Archer not improving on his time, but he is keeping that same time up on the board in first place. Chris Byram's currently sitting second. Christian Schegemann nudges Daniel Thomas and Louis Cologne down. Daniel Thomas in fourth, Louis Cologne in fifth. Anthony Wallace sitting in a respectable sixth for his first ever F2 race. Same for Mr. Matos. We have Eric Beddoes and Steve Bunting in 8th and 9th. Ivan Balkamp yet to set a time, and Steve Grabowski yet to set a time. So not sure what is going on with those two. I don't think I've seen Grabowski on track, but Balkamp is certainly going to be wanting to race. Otherwise, he's leaving the door wide open for Louis Cologne to take a grab at the points for... almost loses there is Lewis Archer. But that leaves it wide open for Louis Cologne to take a grab at some big points on Ivan Balkamp.
Yeah, they're not looking good to set a time right now, Alex. We're right at the end of qualifying here.
Yep, and Ivan Balkamp is not on track, and Grabowski is not on track, as we see Archer going way wide on some of these turns, just trying to get a good run, and he is not going to cross the line before any laps that happen are going to have to be current laps that have been started. As we see Byram, he is pushing here at the end of his lap. He's got a purple sector. Let's see if he can push it farther than Archer can. Does not look like it counted the lap. He might have had an off track along the line somewhere.
Sad with that fastest middle sector, he really did have a chance at setting the fastest too.
Yep. Yeah, he had some great speed there. Middle sector was purple, looking really good. Probably had a combative time for Lewis Archer, but that is going to do it for our qualifying. We don't have any other cars on track. We see our Mr. Flagman waving away, and we will be doing our warm-up laps here, just trying to get some more rubber onto the track, clear some of them marbles, and then get ready for racing in about 5 minutes' time.
That's right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the track. So this is the German Grand Prix, of course, at Hockenheim, Baden-Württemberg. It's been around for a long, long time, since the late 30s, 1938 specifically. It was originally 12 kilometers in length, or 7.5 miles for our U.S. Listeners. Of course, in 2002, the official F1 committee asked for some changes to the track in order to make it fit the format of the current F1 race Grand Prix series. And so the current track layout is 4.6 kilometers or 2.8 miles in length, which is much more similar to the rest of the F1 tracks that we see during the course of the Grand Prix series.
Yep. Yeah, it is a very historic track. We've had F1 racing here for quite a number of years, and it's great to see these drivers driving around right now. And we have some hot track conditions, but I think we will have quite an exciting race. A hotter track means people are going to be slipping off. Right now, track is sitting at 91 degrees Fahrenheit, and we have a humidity level of 70, so that engine's going to be sucking in that more humid air, gives it a little bit more power to the engine, but that track temperature being a 91 degrees Fahrenheit really makes it hard for those tires to really grab and stick onto the track like you want them to. So we'll see how things go here. 12-mile-an-hour wind, that can make or break a driver going down the straight. That might veer you off to the left or to the right a little bit. If you are driving into it, it's going to severely slow down your progress. If you have it out as a tailwind, it's going to push you a little harder and a little faster. So that might throw a little bit of I don't want to say caution to the wind, but drivers might be doing a little bit of erratic driving with that extra speed that they're experiencing down the straights. So we'll see these drivers having to make some adjustments here compared to it's later in the year, so we normally see the cooler temps. So practice all week has been in the 70 to 80 range. Being 91 degrees might be throwing a curveball at these guys.
Yeah, sure might. And of course, this is the more difficult car that we drive here at the IFL. This is the IFL 2 series, so it's the F2 car. We're driving the Formula Renault 3.5 car. Simply a more difficult car than our F3 series, which makes use of the Dallara F3. But it's also faster. It has more aggressive aero downforce packages, and it also employs DRS. The drivers will get 8 deployments of DRS over the course of the race. There are no restrictions on where they deploy. Of course, they're going to want to use that strategically, given that it's a limited amount of deployments. What does that DRS give the drivers when they do activate it, Alex? I know it's a speed boost. About how much do you think? What's the advantage there?
I believe it comes out to be about 10 to 12 miles an hour, depending on the straight, and depending if you're in a slipstream. I think that equals out to, for our European listeners, about 15 kilometers an hour to 20 kilometers an hour, depending on, like I said, that slipstream and how long the straight is. And, the setup of the car, is it meant to be, a little stiffer and be able to go down that straight a little faster, or is it meant to be, a little bit more loose to be able to handle turns a little better? So we'll see. We'll try and get you guys some top speed analytics as well to see who is setting some of those top speeds. We'll try and get you guys some fun stats throughout this race.
That should be a fast, fun race, Alex. Very excited to see what happens here. And of course, with the battle that we have going on for first and second and third, it should be some really exciting, good racing, especially if we can get those competitors racing with each other. Looks like, given the way that we did end up qualifying, we should see some of those battles happening early on. What do you think here? Are you thinking that Lewis is going to be able to hold it here? Archer's going to take the win. We've been able to see him really command the track with his ability to reserve tires, really keep track of his fuel and go a little bit longer than others when necessary, or make smart strategies pit stop wise. And of course, he's just a consistent driver. But then you have Chris Byram, also very fast, very consistent, very smart, and actively team member of Lewis Archer's as well. They're both strong. What do you think? What's going to happen here?
Honestly, I have not a clue. It could go any way, and anything can happen today. We will know in about 2 minutes at the beginning of the race. But if Lewis can keep clean, I think he takes a championship. Chris Byram has to make up 13 points on him, and I do not think that he will be able to do it if Lewis can make a clean race and get a clean run at it. Byram will have to do the same, though, and he has been hot. He has won, I think, 4 in a row now of our Grand Prix. They are really, really, really just putting down some great times and some clean sessions, both of them. Lewis has been right behind him, and if they don't have a clean race, we know Lewis has been able to cut through the field like a hot knife through butter. So Same for Chris Byram if he's been, you know, bumped a little bit or has a little bit of damage. They find a way to really get back on the track and just make their way through. As we come to the end of warm-up here, let's get a little bit better camera view for you guys. Show the crowd here, but we're going to be gridding up in just a few seconds here. Very exciting. Ivan Boutkamp, I'm not sure if he is in the session or in the grid. Same for Steve Grabowski. So we might see an upset for Louis Cologne. He would have to get 22 points. So that means a win for Louis Cologne, and that would be huge. He's been on the podium last week and in the top 5 consistently throughout the season. So we'll keep an eye on Cologne as well as our big fight, Louis Archer and Chris Byram.
Exciting. Best of luck to all of our drivers. No matter who wins, they will have worked very hard this season and deserve it. So just let's hope for a really clean, good, fast race. This should be an exciting one.
Yeah, we're 41 seconds into the gridding process. I think we're fairly close. So we take a look at the cockpit here of Louis. He is ready. And here we go. Lights are going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And lights are out. Ooh, Louis Archer gets a great jump. Chris Byram trying to fend him off. Trying to get right in that slipstream. Not a whole lot of fighting going on between the two of them. They are just trying to get through the first couple turns clean here. Louis Archer pulling out to a great start. Chris Byram following him very closely. He does not want to let Louis get away. If Archer gets away, there is no catching him. Great start from our drivers here. Very clean. Byram with a big push. Coming down to the hairpin. Let's see if he can stick it and take the lead. And Byram takes the lead from Louis Archer. Big move here. Cars doing well to stay out of each other's way and not bump each other. Archer coming back for another stab at Byram now. Ooh. Gets a good run on him. Byram able to fend him off, though, keeping that inside line, playing a defensive game now. We'll be going down the straight, and Archer will be trying to catch him as best he can. The big question is, do you start using your DRS this early, Eli, or do you hang on and just try and use that slipstream to stay in play?
I think they have to stick with the slipstream at this stage. Their tires are still cold. They just, they want to keep it on track, keep consistent, keep position. There's still a long race ahead of them, and they're going to need those DRS pushes later on for strategic moves, overtaking and such later in the race. I just think it's too early, Alex. I just think it's too early.
Yep, and we see Byram still leading his teammate, Louis Archer. We have Daniel Thomas, as we said before, really fast. Some bad luck lately, but he is right there with the leaders, staying in their slipstream, getting some really good times. Byram just trying his hardest to break that slipstream. If he gets to about a second ahead, that slipstream will be broken, and he will be out of Louis Archer's range. But Louis is really pushing right now. He gets the run on that outside line. He's going to try and make a move here on Chris. There it is. He's going on the inside. Make that the outside now. Ooh, Byram goes a little bit wide, pushes Archer, and Daniel Thomas is going to try and take advantage of the situation, and he's going to jump into second. Louis Archer is just trying to keep it together here, and he knows he can still get his championship as long as Byram does not get 13 more points than he does this week.
And here you have Daniel Thomas showing what a competitor he is too, Alex. I mean, we were just talking about how fast he is and the bad luck he's had, but I mean, here he is. He's right here at the front with these guys battling for second right at the moment.
Yep, he is quite the competitor. We love seeing the competition from him each and every week. And he is, like we said, he's fast. He's keeping up. He has the fastest lap right now with the 127.2. Louis Cologne, Anthony Wallace, and Eric Betos all fighting back behind as well in a group of 3. Let's take a look at that group really quick. These 3 here. really pushing. You can see the front runners really trying to pull away from this group. As soon as you break that slipstream, it becomes a huge task to try and get back into it.
A little concerned with Shigeman. Shigeman went back into the pits here. I wonder what that was about. Do you think it's an early refuel or something, Alex?
It could be. We have a long way to go. 42 more laps. As we see, Archer has taken the spot from Daniel Thomas, but they are starting to fall a little bit behind. I think they had a little bit of an incident there. Just keeping really close to each other. Like I said, within that 1 second range down the straightaways. And you're in that slipstream, and it gives you that advantage. Once you start ranging out of that in these F2 cars, you really start losing that toe. That slipstream is not as effective. So we will see if these guys can keep within that 1 second range. Anthony Wallace looking like he is keeping well within that 1 second range on Louis Cologne. 6/10 right now. And Archer is starting to fall back a little bit from Chris Byram. As we said, Chris Byram has been blisteringly fast and has won, I think, 4 in a row now from the last handful of Grand Prix. Have just been awesome to watch with him in there.
Now Lewis is sitting in a perfect position to maintain sight of the lead, but also keep himself out of the dirty air, thus putting a little bit less strain on his tires. So this could be more of a maintenance type of pace that he's keeping here as well.
Yep, as we said, Byram has to get 13 more points than Archer, and at this point, he's only going to be getting what would be 7 more points. He can possibly get the fastest lap, which would be another point, and then the safety lap, which would be 8 points. So he is really trying to push, and he's going to be really close if he finishes in the positions that they're in. So he's almost relying on Daniel Thomas and Louis Cologne to try and catch up. Maybe a little bit of strategy from them to try and get a little bit of an advantage on the top guys here. Maybe an early pit, maybe a really late pit strategy, trying to make those tires really go to the end, as we see Cologne going with the fastest lap at 1:25.9, which should be gaining on the leaders here.
Cologne showing up again as one of the fastest drivers. We've seen this week over week. He's got the pace, and here he's bringing it again.
Yep.
I'm excited. This battle that's unfolding between the leaders too. I'm excited to see this happen over the course of the race. I've got to think that Lewis is just maintaining right now, and Byram is pushing it to keep out in front.
Yep. Yeah. Byram is, he's pushing. He's got nothing to lose at this point. If he crashes out, he stays in second. If he pushes another car off the track, he doesn't get anything, against him. If Lewis crashes out, then Chris almost has a sure thing to win the championship, as long as Byram stays nice and clean throughout the race. But the thing is going to be, can Archer stay ahead of Daniel Thomas while still staying safe enough to continue the pace that he's at and stay in second, as we see Louis Cologne closing that gap to only 0.6 of a second behind Daniel Thomas. He's well within the slipstream, and Anthony Wallace is right there with him. These three are kind of making a statement here, saying, we can go faster than the leaders. We can catch these guys, and they're only 3 seconds, 4 seconds back at this point. They can make that up well within the 39 laps that we have left here.
Yeah, this is full send mode. I mean, these drivers are putting everything on the table, and right here we're seeing the speed that they bring in today. This is incredible pace from these drivers.
Yep, Louis Cologne, like we said, one of our fastest drivers throughout the season, one of our more consistent drivers, and he is going to be making a move. Ooh, as we see him go wide there, backing it up, doesn't want to be in that grass area. Just a little too aggressive there from Cologne. Outbraked himself. Let's take a look here. As we came down the Parabolica, he gets the run. That slipstream helping him out quite a bit. Tries to move over right as he enters that braking zone, and it's just too much for him. Doesn't want to lock those tires up, and he just goes off the track.
Good for him keeping it out of the wall and keeping it, in the race, though. He'll be able to come back from this. We're still fairly early on.
Yep. And we see Wallace is battling with Daniel Thomas as of right now. Only 0.8 seconds back. He is going to be well within that slipstream as Chris Byram sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:25.8. Only slightly faster than Cologne. And we have Archer at a 1:26.1. You can tell Archer is in full-on preservation mode, just trying to keep second place without giving up too much time here. And, all he's got to do is finish, like I said, 13 points is what separates him. So if he can still get his points in second, then why risk it trying to go for first?
You think it's an undercut strategy for Archer?
Yep, definitely. I think it's some race control. He's trying to just get those points. He knows if he gets his 18 points in second, that Archer cannot mathematically catch him. If he drops down to third, if we do a little bit of simple math here, he will be, even with the fastest lap and safety lap, or safety extra point, we have 1 point that'll separate him. So if Archer can finish in second or third, even if Byram finishes in first, then we will have Lewis Archer as our champion. Archer would have to drop down to fourth as we see, Wallace here putting some pressure on Daniel Thomas. And
he is. And it is not easy, right? You're in this position, you're feeling that heat. It's hard to keep your line, hard to make the right decisions, but here you go. This is showing the skill of these drivers.
Yep, as we see Wallace go a little bit wide. Hopefully he did not get an off-track slowdown, but he is going to be right up behind Daniel Thomas. And here we go down the long straight DRS zone. Parabolica technically. So you have a slight curve, but Anthony Wallace going wide on the Parabolica. He's got the inside line. Let's see if he tries it. He does not. He thinks a little better of it, but Daniel Thomas a little slow through the turn. And Wallace is gaining slightly on him. This is a great battle, especially for a podium spot from the first-time driver, Anthony Wallace, in the F2. He's doing a great job showing up today and really putting in some good laps and like I said, fighting for a podium here.
He sure is. He's sticking to Thomas like glue, isn't he? Just quick as all get out.
And Thomas, we know, is one of our quicker drivers in the F2. Has some inconsistencies and some bad luck sometimes, but he's one of the fastest ones, and Wallace is sticking right with him. So maybe we'll see the Anthony Wallace Turn 1 Racing black and American flag in the F2 next season. That would be really neat to see as Chris Byram improves on his fastest time, 1:25.5, shattering Lewis Archer's 1:26.0 right now. He's pulling away about a half a second a lap, and it is everything that Lewis Archer can do to try and keep up with him, but Lou knows that he needs to keep safe and just needs to fend off Daniel Thomas and Anthony Wallace, which right now Daniel Thomas is fending off Anthony Wallace, and that's going to be slowing him down ever so slightly.
It is. We see these battles eat up pace for the drivers that are involved in them lap over lap, and you'll see the gaps in front of them increase over time. We've seen it each race here in the series, and we're seeing it here again.
Side by side here from Wallace and Thomas. Wallace is going to make a pass on the outside. What a great move by Wallace. Let's see if he can put a gap in between himself and Daniel Thomas. He is now into third. Uh-oh, Byram is off. What happened to Byram? Byram off. Dropping down into fourth. Archer up into first. Doesn't look like he has a whole lot of damage.
No, it looks very drivable.
If anything, maybe a little bit of undercarriage damage there on the floor. He has Cologne coming up right behind him. Let's see what happened here. We see Byram. Ooh, he just gets a little bit too much of that inside curb on that elevation change on the track, and it just throws him off into the sand, into the grass there. Very careful to avoid the oncoming traffic. And he gets going again. Byram is really going to have to push here and hope that Lewis Archer makes a mistake. As we have Daniel Thomas pushing back up right behind Anthony Wallace. He's going to go on the inside. Daniel Thomas fighting. Wallace has the speed. They're going to be side by side. And Thomas can't make it stick. Wallace has that extra speed by going wide into the turn. But he's going to be on the outside again. Great camera angle there from the gyro cam, and Wallace stays in third place or actually second place right now. These guys fighting for that second place and third place. Wow, they're sticking right on each other here. Great driving from these two. Ooh, Wallace goes a little bit wide.
That's a great move by Thomas. Look at that.
Thomas takes advantage of it. And these two fighting, it's going to open up Chris Byram coming up right behind him, taking tenths off at a time. Wow, he is just flying. I can't believe how quick Chris Byram has already made that gap up to the guys in second and third. He really wants it today. The thing is now, Lewis Archer can't just sit back because Byram's going to be coming up through the field here. If we have the pace that Byron's been racing so far in the first 10 laps, Byron will be able to get by these drivers and start closing the gap on Archer about 0.4 to a half a second a lap. So Archer will have to push because you never know what's going to happen when Chris tries to pass you. There's not a ton of room on this track in some of the passing zones, and some of those turns that Byron might be trying to throw it in, and it happens. Bumps happen. We have some real skinny parts of the track as Byram gets right up behind Wallace right now, who can't attack Daniel Thomas because he is putting up the wall to try and defend Chris Byram right now. It is and Louis Cologne coming up behind him.
They are catching up fast. This is excellent.
Byram is flying. Wallace really pushing, but I think Byram's going to be able to get by him fairly quickly here. I thought I was going to see the back end of Anthony Wallace's car come out from behind him. He hit that bump a little hard. He is just trying to keep it together with Byram. Probably about an arm's length back behind. Anthony Wallace knows this is not his fight. He moves out of the way and says, go on by, Chris Byram. Go get him. Put up a good fight against Lewis, and he's going to drop back to fourth and just try and follow Chris Byram, stay in that slipstream, and really put up a good show to catch up to the fight that he was having so much fun with, which was Daniel Thomas. And we have Cologne right behind Wallace as well right now. So that is another competitor that he's going to fight off. What a race for the first-time driver. He is just getting hit from all different angles here. He's got people behind him, people in front of him, and he's racing for a podium right now. It's quite the amazing feat right now by Anthony Wallace.
Oh yeah, he is doing an excellent job here as his first time out, and just really putting the laps in. I have to think, giving up that spot might have saved his tires just a little bit, but he was really pushing hard to keep it. Now he's going to, of course, have Cologne coming up right behind him and have to defend lap over lap from him. But at least he's got a little bit of a gap there, and maybe if he's got Byram in front of him, giving him a little bit of a tow, he'll have a little more speed too, and be able to defend a little bit better against Cologne in these following laps.
Yep, yeah, it will eat up his tires a little quicker though. That dirty air in front of him will eat those tires up. It's just lifting that car that tiniest bit more with that air being sliced through by the car in front of you. So it lifts that front wing, which makes your tires slide just a little bit more. You'll have a little bit of understeer. Ooh, Byram trying to take a dive on the inside of Thomas. But with that understeer, your car's going to slide, and that wears your tires away. It scrubs them down really fast. So you don't really want to be caught in the dirty air for too long, as Anthony Wallace is kind of making a run here on Byram. Byram, he's going to try and follow Byram by. Daniel Thomas. Thomas having to go wide. Ooh, Thomas goes really wide. Let's see if Wallace can make a move. He does not. Thomas staying in the wake of Byram. Wow, these four are right on top of each other. Wow.
They are.
Wallace trying to make that outside move work again, try and get some extra speed on Thomas. But Thomas is not going to let Byram get away easily here. Thomas taking it back.
All the while, we have Archer just stretching out his gap, stretching out his lead.
Yep, we see a 9.5 second lead. It was at one point around a 7-second lead. So now Chris Byram is by. Hopefully he can, pull away from these guys and put up a little bit of a show for Lewis Archer. Because right now Lou is a full straightaway ahead. That full front straight, he's already done by the time Chris Byram gets to the turn. So we see these four cars putting up a great fight for the front here. Let's put up a graphic of our battle box for Byram and Archer right now, and just keep that up and going. Actually, we'll do a time delta to see what Byram's doing lap after lap.
Oh, Byram's off here.
Ooh, Byram going wide. And that is not good. Byram is going to really need to work. He's pushing it really hard, trying to keep in front of the cars that he had just passed, trying to keep him behind, and that really hurts. Daniel Thomas in second.
Well, yeah, he's got to redo all that work now, and of course these guys are in front. They're wiping their brows at this moment. A little bit less pressure to deal with, and one less contender right up in their midst. Yep,
it really will show the steel of and resolve of Byram if he can get back up and in front of these guys. A third of the way through the race right now, 30 laps to go. That strategy might come into it too. Do you try an undercut at this point since you've gone off a couple times and get those tires up to temp, or do you try and catch up to these guys again and try and get by them? It might be worth just trying to get into some clean air and some open track for Byram, but at the same time, these guys will give you a little bit of a slipstream down the straight. So what direction do you go? Do you drive until you catch up to the drivers here? As we see Cologne going on the inside of Thomas. Thomas goes really wide, trying to get a good jump down the straight here, and Wallace is going to close the gap. Cologne up into second right now. Let's see if Thomas can make this stick. Nope, he pulls away. Wallace trying to make a move on Thomas as Cologne goes a little bit wide. Cologne hanging on here.
Great racecraft here. This tight racing, close racing like this is never easy. These guys have their elbows out and are all pushing hard. That this is a moment for these drivers.
Yeah, this is some great driving. It doesn't seem like it when you're watching. It's like, yeah, they got a car length or a car and a half. But when you're in that cockpit, you are really, really, really pushing. You're on the limit, and that car is not that far away. It is a couple 1,000ths of a second away from you, as we see Daniel Thomas really pushing up behind. Wallace is closing the gap to Thomas slightly as we get ready to go down the DRS section here. This is going to be a big braking section for each one of these drivers. Thomas closing.
What a great battle. What a great battle, Alex.
This has been going on since just about lap 2 or 3. Ever since the green flag lights out, we've been having a battle between these drivers. Thomas closing the gap even more, getting in slip, trying to upset Cologne. Thomas on the inside now, Cologne on the outside. Ooh, Cologne drives down almost as though Thomas isn't there. It really makes Thomas second guess.
There might have been contact there. There might have been a little contact,
Ooh.
Alex.
Thomas going wide, hitting that curb. And Wallace is just sitting back, hoping something happens with these two up front here. Because, wow, what racecraft, like you said. It's so hard to keep this close and not bump.
It truly is. And, you know, there are no brake lights on these cars, unlike GT cars. So you are watching the cues of the driver in front of you and trying to gauge those gaps.
Yep. And we'll try and give you a representation of just how close these cars are to each other. This is the rear end of Lewis Cologne on the gearbox. And you can see he's just trying to keep Daniel Thomas out of the slipstream. You'll see just how quick Thomas will come up on the braking zone here, and he is right there. Ooh, Thomas trying to get on that inside, but you almost feel like he can reach out and just touch the car behind him.
That is close racing right there, Alex. Very close.
Yep, they're just trading positions at this point. Back and forth and back and forth. Thomas, 1/10 of a second, he's going to make a move here. Almost. It's just so close. This is just on edge racing the whole time.
They all want it so bad, Alex.
Yep, and we have Byram, don't forget, trying to catch up and pass these guys. And Byram, hopefully he does not have... Ooh, and as soon as we move away, we have Cologne, hopefully with no damage, going down the pit lane. He had a little bit of a spin out here. Let's see what happened. Wow, really, as soon as we jumped away. Oh, he starts to brake. I would think to go into the pits.
Was there contact there, Alex?
There was definite contact there. Daniel Thomas might be running around with a little bit of a bent up front wing. But let's take a look at it again. Ooh, actually, we got some action going on. Wallace is going to be passing Thomas. Only a few moments later, Thomas passes Wallace again. They're back at it. Let's jump live and see what we got going on here, because Byram is close. Thomas, like I said, probably has some wing damage from that contact. But I think Cologne was just braking in order to get into the pits, and was coming off of the driving line. But the driving line and the pit lane entry are so close to each other, I don't think Thomas was ready for it, and was just trying to keep in the slipstream of Lewis Cologne, and just gave him a little bit of a bump. It doesn't look like from our view there like he has any damage, and he doesn't be seeming to slow down at all down the straights and losing a ton of time to Anthony Wallace. But Wallace, being in the slipstream, is going to be able to really push, especially here. We're going to be going down Parabolica soon. He is within 0.7 of a second and gaining really quick, 0.6. But you also have Chris Byram right behind him, like we started to say, trying to catch up. And we can't forget about this man. He is the talk of the race. Him and Lewis Archer. These guys really falling back from Archer now. Byram's going to have a mountain to climb in order to take this from Archer. But you never know. We've had cars run out of fuel. We've had cars slide off the track, and Chris Byram being one of them twice now. You never know what can happen. Anything.
Well,
he's
certainly not one to give up, Alex, and he's going to keep fighting right to the end. We're seeing him climb right back up there with them and catch them up just almost as quick as he did the first time. I was thinking a little bit about this pit entry, and I have to think that we're probably early enough in the race that arguably you wouldn't think somebody would be going in quite this early. So I can see where he would have been surprised, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that pit entry or that pit stop plays out for Lewis Cologne over the course of the race. It is a little bit early, but it could set him out with somewhat of an advantage potentially.
Yep. Yeah, I think the being turned around and having to get going again slowed him up quite a bit, but the other drivers were slowed up by it as well. So we'll see if he is able to take advantage of it, doing the undercut there. So we will see where Cologne comes out, but I have a feeling Cologne in, some nice open air, which we see he is 12 seconds behind Shegetman, and Beddoes is 35 seconds behind him. He's got quite a gap in front and behind, so he will have a ton of just nice open air in order to just drive his car, try and push himself as hard as he can, and he's going to have to push, but he's also going to have to just make it to the end of the race. He's still got 25 laps to go. We have Anthony Wallace. It just is crazy to me. He's making a move down inside that he is fighting for a podium on his first ever race. It just shows how great this driver is. He's doing such a fantastic job. So much control over the F2 car right now that I didn't know he had in him. I know he's great in the F3, but the transition from the F3 to the F2 is such a mountain to climb normally. It's a lot higher downforce, a lot more sensitive on the throttle, a lot of changes, DRS. There's a lot to learn, and I'm glad that we're seeing such a great competitive race from Mr. Wallace here.
Absolutely. Well, I have to think he's been putting some time in, because this is a driver that knows what they're doing in this car. I think it's fairly obvious, and he's really showing us exactly what he's capable with this F2 car.
Yep, and we have Byram that goes into the pit lane. He is going to be going for a approximately a little less than halfway through the race. We're at 21 laps, so another lap and a half we would have been exactly halfway through the race. But lap 21, we have Byram pitting. We'll see what Archer does if he pits the same to just combat what Byram is doing. Ooh, and we have a little bit of a slowdown here from Wallace and Thomas. It looks like they might have touched. It was really close there. But we are back racing, and they're back up to speed. Great driving from these guys. Great driving. And we're going to take a quick look through the rest of the field here. Jump back to Cristiano Shegetman, which is not showing up on track for some reason. Let's try and find him. There we are. Cristiano Shegetman right now sitting in fourth ahead of Byram and Cologne. He will have to pit though in order to make it to the end. So he should drop back between Beddoes and Cologne if I had to take a guess right. Chris Byram right behind him in the 5th place. Obviously he has been the talk of the race, him and Lewis Archer. Lewis Cologne is 11 seconds behind Byram. He is looking to upset Ivan Baukamp, but like we said, if he doesn't get first, he stays in that 4th place position. So he is really hoping some detrimental things happen to Byram, Archer, Wallace, and Thomas, because as of right now, he'll be right in the middle of Thomas and Wallace if they take a pit and take a little bit longer than average. Eric Beddoes sitting back in 7th place right now. We've seen him take some really good podiums and have some really great races. So shame to see him back in 7th. But Hockenheim has some big curbs and some big areas that you can really throw the car off the track. So hate to see that he's back so far, but glad to see he is still in the race. You never give up. You keep going and keep trying to make up those places, because you never know. A safety car comes out, and then he's right back around. He gets to wave around in the safety car, so he would be right back to being in 7th and caught up. Ooh, as he catches a lot of curb there and goes off. We're going to jump to
that much curb will really upset a car.
Yep.
We saw that.
Yep, and we see it in the F3 races. You eat that much curb, you'll probably be okay. You'll get a little upset, but you'll be all right. But when you eat that much curb in an F2 car, the Renault 3.5, it really is just something that'll just toss the car like we just saw. But Steve Bunting letting a couple drivers by. Great racemanship. Our guys have tons of sportsmanship throughout the league, so we love to see that, letting the guys that are going to be lapping on by. And then we have our race leader right now, Lewis Archer, losing a little bit of gap. I think he had a 19-second gap at one point. But Daniel Thomas right now is trying to catch him as best he can. Thomas would love to have a win here in the IFL 2, but as of right now, he has a mountain to climb just like Chris Byram would. And Thomas and Wallace both have to pit still, so those battles early on in the race have really pulled him away from Lewis Archer. It's possible that they can catch up, but it's going to take a slip up by Lewis Archer for them to have a chance. If Lewis can stay safe, I think he might take his championship today.
It's looking pretty good for him if he can just keep it going the way that he is currently. Of course, you know, his pit is yet to come. Something could happen there, but likely not. It's really just about his consistency. He's driving against himself at this point.
Yep, and
but now that can change, of course. But at this point in time, he's really competing against himself.
Yep, it's all his to lose. We've seen it before, though. Like you said, the pit. We saw it at Twin Ring, Motegi. He came into the pits and had a cut of the track, and he got a 40-second time penalty for it. Same for Chris Byram in that race. We had two Kuda Works drivers that got penalized 40 seconds for a bad pit entry and speeding in the pits. So it will, he's probably going to take it safe and nice and easy, but sometimes you get lost in the moment of, okay, I got to come in the pit. You've practiced it all throughout the week, and you have your way to enter the pits, and that's how you enter. And all of a sudden you realize, oh, I didn't need to enter that quick, and now you have a penalty. And, oh no, what just happened? Now I have to sit here for 40 seconds while Chris Byram drives on by. So it could be something as simple as entering the pits too fast or cutting a little bit too much of the track. Track limits are not too terrible here, but as soon as you get 16 incidents, whether it be bumping somebody, going off the track, running wide, you get that penalty as well. So you get that drive-through penalty and a time penalty, so you never know what can happen here. It can go really any way. Archer, it is his race to lose, as we see Byram off the track. We're going to see what happened here. He is on fairly cold tires, and ooh, too much curb. Locks him up into the sand. Ooh, loses his back end a tiny bit trying to get going. And he saves it from smacking the wall. Great recovery, great save there from Byron, but now his tires are going to be on fire, and they're going to be worn down a little bit more. He's really just, he's taken that mountain, and he's made it into a taller mountain, bigger mountain. So it really is just, he's shooting himself in the foot right now. But Byram still going to race, still going to push. He's not going to be out of it at any given point. Archer's just going to have to keep doing what he's doing in order to keep his position. Thomas catching up, but as we said before, Archer's probably got some race control going on. He's not too concerned. He knows Thomas and Wallace behind him still have to pit. So Shegetman is the closest one. He also, I believe, has to pit. We'll take a look at our number of pit stops here. Shegetman has pit once. Let's take a look at his pit lap. And Shegetman pit on lap 2, so that means he will not be able to make it to the end of the race on fuel. So Shegetman will have to pit again. That means Byram is the closest behind him with a gap of 50 seconds, even if Lewis Archer came into the pits going 150 miles an hour. He would still come out approximately 5 seconds behind to exactly the same as Chris Byram. So not a huge detriment if Archer has something happen. He doesn't want it to happen, so all he has to do is just hold where he's at and hold what he's doing, and he's got this one in the bag.
That's right, and he'll be coming out on fresh tires too, whereas Byram will have, upwards of, he's got 7 laps on those tires now, and will have more by the time Archer is in the pits.
Yep, and even coming out on cold tires, if you're not pushing those tires too hard, you're not going to have too much of a worry that you're going to go off the track. Like I said, we're seeing that gap close by Thomas. He's catching Archer ever so slightly, but yeah, it's not gonna be enough unless Archer slides off the track and smacks the wall. I think he's definitely got it. So we'll keep an eye on the situation. Looks like Wallace had some sort of slip up because he is dropped back. Cristiano Schegeman catching him quite a bit. Only 9 seconds back. Let's see what Wallace had happened to him here. Down the straight, going into turn one, it looks like. Ooh, too much grass there. Hits that curb, trying to come back on it. Ooh, don't want to touch the wall. And he gets going again. No damage. Wallace is back at the race.
I have to say they are doing a great job of avoiding damage to those cars today. I don't think I've seen this many off tracks and incidents without at least somebody taking some damage.
Yep, and like we said, at some points it's almost like a street circuit. You see that inside wall for the pit lane, and that carries on the right side all the way down after turn one. There's that wall's just, right on the other side off the track. And, if you slide out like Chris Byram did and Anthony Wallace did just there's a high probability you're going to go and smack that wall. There's not a whole lot of room in between the track and the wall. I think you have probably about 10 feet. On the right side, you can see big infield. You can almost play a full game of baseball there while the race is going on, but some of these areas are super small with super confined areas. Wallace enters the pits here. Schegeman has passed him. Wallace will go a good 18 laps or so on those tires that he's getting slapped onto the car right now.
And Byram's moved back up into position 4 here, so he's making his way up the ladder.
Yep, and like we said, Byram's going to be pushing so hard. He is prone to mistakes more so than his teammate Lewis Archer. Byram is going to really want to push, but at this point, he almost would have to, be more safe than anything. Just hope that something happens to Lewis.
That's right, but he also can't leave anything on the table. I mean, he needs to be right on the edge of grip here, pushing himself as hard as he can if he has any hope of catching up and making a real play for that position. And even if something subtle happens with Archer, he wants to be poised to take advantage.
Yep, and we see Thomas dropping into the pit lane now too. Thomas is just, I think, mirroring what Wallace is doing, so then Wallace cannot go and take that second place from him. Like we said, though, anything can happen. If we have a wreck down the straightaway, 3 cars involved, blocking the track, traffic's coming, that's a yellow flag. And that would bring Byram to within a half a second of Archer, and we would have a rolling start. It would just be, crazy to think that something like that would happen, but we've seen it happen late in the race. We've had it a couple times where it almost ends up being like a competition caution, like we see in NASCAR, where they bunch up the field and bring everybody together just because, they want a little bit better of a competition, and then, the race continues on after that. Lewis Archer into the pits. Keep an eye on him real quick. Going down the pit lane. In the cockpit, he is getting his tires, getting his fuel. And he is back off. No penalty to serve, so we entered very smoothly. Really cold tires on this nice warm track. He's taking it easy.
This is the moment to just really watch what he's doing, keep it cool, and keep it on track. And if he can get through these first few laps, get his tires warm, he's in a golden position.
And just a quick, cockpit view there of Lewis going down the middle straight, as we saw. Just a great sound this car has, and I look forward to seeing these guys race in a little bit bigger fields next season. So we have a lot of drivers getting ready and amped up for season 2, or for season 3. Sorry, season 3 is already upon us. So we have probably 20 drivers, I would say, 18 to 20 drivers currently signed up. Ooh, Archer goes a little bit wide there into the gravel. But we're looking forward to seeing all you drivers out there. And if anybody is interested in doing this and driving these cars with these drivers and on this grid, on these tracks, we welcome anybody to join our Discord and really just throw it in there. Start in the F3, work your way up to the F2. iRacing coming out with the new W12, the Merc from Real Life F1 that's still racing on the track, this weekend. So they came out with that, and there are plans for future for us to be racing those hopefully one time in the near future. So, we have all these tiers, all these drivers. We invite anybody to come on out and join us because we have tons of fun with this.
That's right. Let's also take a moment to thank our viewers, the people that have been tuning in to watch us all season long, listen to our broadcasts, and even the new viewers that have joined us today. If you've enjoyed this season, come back for the next one. It should be even more exciting with larger fields and more racing. And we look forward to seeing you for it. This has been a great season to watch, and there have been a ton of fun moments and exciting moments on track this season. I think we're seeing some more great racing this time.
Yep, some great stories unfolding throughout the season as we've been talking right now. Lewis Archer had a phenomenal first half of the season, but Chris Byram said, hey, I'm still here, I'm still fast, and fought back, and now we have this final race to determine our championship. So it's really cool to see that story unfold. We have the story in our F3 league, Caitlin Height just running away with the Drivers' Championship, but the Constructors, anybody can take it tomorrow in our F3 Championship. So it is just a testament to how much fun these drivers have and what a great show everybody puts on, from the drivers to the admin to all the people that are involved from A to Z. We really enjoy it, and we really would like to see a lot of you guys come on out and join us for the fun. We have prizes and trophies at the end of the season. Butt Kicker supports us with some Gamer 2s that we're able to give out to our season winners for constructors and drivers, and we get to give out some great apparel from Designs Ltd. It just is a lot of fun overall to be able to provide something like this for all of our drivers. So we want you guys to come on out and join us. But we're going to get back to a little bit of racing here as we see Daniel Thomas is starting to really close in on Schegeman here. Schegeman still has to pit. Lap 2 is his last time he pit. He might have filled up fully and is trying to go on a long run, but he should still have to stop one more time. As we see Cologne in the pits again.
Yeah, he did have a bit of an incident and some damage to his front aero minimally.
It looked like Anthony Wallace has crashed as well and is out. So we Cologne. This was his incident. Oh, it was Wallace trying to get off of the track, the main line, and it just caught Cologne. Oof. Well, let's see what happened to Wallace here that caused all this. He was doing such a great job, as we were talking earlier, but trying to push a little too hard, gets that curb, which changes the elevation of the car and pushes it to the left. Ooh! He just tries to get over and out of the way, does not see Cologne coming. Cologne tries to take some action to avoid, and that is just a crazy turn of events there. Ooh, Cologne's still in the middle of the track there. That right on the edge of warranting a safety car or not, but we continue racing. Sad to see Wallace and Cologne both out. As of right now, we can see if they end up get going again with a fast repair. Does not look like either of them will. That pushes Beddoes up into 5th, and Bunting will be up into 6th. As we have Chris Byram in 4th, Daniel Thomas in 3rd, Shegetman in 2nd, Archer in 1st. Our field is starting to get a little thin here, but we're going to cover them all the same because this is our championship race. Lewis Archer trying to fend off Chris Byram has been the story of the week. It's really been the story of the last few weeks because Chris has just been on such a tear lately. I think he might have just, pushed himself a little too far this race and, could have hurt him a little bit.
Archer is still maintaining his gap and very soundly in the league. And of course, we're seeing Shegetman keep pace, really not letting that gap grow very much. Shegetman's really been a rising star over at least the last portion of the season here in F2. Started out in F3 and made a really good showing there, but he's been a real competitor here as well.
Yep, if he continued in the F3, we might have had a very similar Drivers' Championship like we're seeing right now with Archer and Byram, because Shegetman was right there with our race or our Drivers' Championship, Caitlin Height. He was right there with her at the beginning of the season. Same with Stathis Kokorianis. He'll race every so often, but he does not race in the league nearly as much as what we would have liked to have seen. And there is the pit stop that we all knew was coming from Shegetman, so we'll see where he pops out of the pits. Eric Beddoes will probably have to pit as well. Lap 5 was his last lap to pit. Bunting should make it to the end, so he'll probably swap positions with Beddoes, but we'll see. Beddoes and Bunting might jump up to 4th and 5th ahead of Shegetman. We shall see.
Didn't quite make it there, it looks like.
Nope, they are a little ways back here. We jump to Beddoes now. He just made it across the finish line. Still a lap back, it would seem. But they're going to get some okay points. His teammate Steve Beddoes coming across, going into turn 1. Archer's still way out front. He's increasing that gap on Daniel Thomas right now. Byram coming up from behind. He's in 3rd. Can he make it a 1-2 for Kuda Works again? It won't matter for points for the constructors standings, but it will just show that he will not quit, and he pushed his hardest if he could get by Daniel Thomas. It put up a little bit of a show for us here too, with some passing and some aggressive driving once again. We saw some great driving for the first half to 2/3 of the race, but we never like to see it stop, so maybe he can give us a little bit more excitement here.
Yeah, let's hope so. We're about a 4-second gap and about 9 laps to go. There is potential that they can catch up and have a battle here at the end.
Yep, all depends on how much Byram can shave that gap down. You can see he went from a 7.7 in 5 laps down to a 4.6. So it is definitely possible for Byram to get down to being in Daniel Thomas's slipstream, and once you get to that 1 second mark and you're in that slip, that last second of time, shaving that off becomes really easy. It's just the actual pass is what normally gets you. It's one thing to race and to be faster. It's another thing to be able to pass the driver ahead of you.
Sure is. But this is where the mettle of these drivers will show, and what they can do in these last few laps. It really does count. So let's see who can focus up and really bring it home.
Yep, I almost don't want to comment on it anymore, but Thomas doing a great job this race. 37 laps in, tires are warm, things are going great for him right now. Currently sitting on the podium, so I hope to be talking to him in the interviews at the end of this race, because I would hate to give him any sort of commentator's curse, but as of right now, if he keeps it clean, we're looking at, I think, one of his very first podiums in the IFL 2.
I believe you're right there, and it'll be well earned.
And even if he does have a little bit of a slip up, as long as he doesn't smash the car into the wall, then he should. He has, one mistake in hand that he can handle, and then you're looking at dropping off the podium and Shegetman taking a little bit of a look on you. But Byram shaving some more time off, down to a 4-second gap. Might even be a little bit less than that by the time we get to the line. You can see Archer's time's 126.5. He's not pushing that car whatsoever. He's just trying to get across and finish the race. Byram only 24 seconds back from him. Make that 25 seconds back from him. So you never know. You never know what can happen. We
It's
hope
true.
that
There's still enough laps here for something dramatic to happen.
Yep, 7 laps. 7 laps is plenty of time for a slip up. We've seen Chris Byram slip up. It's just as easy for Lewis Archer to slip up or Daniel Thomas to slip up. You never know. Passing a lapped car, or just you're trying to drive safe, but you're going a little bit slower than you're used to, so you get a little bit more oversteer. You hit a curb, you go wide, you bump something. It can be quite the crazy last couple laps, especially. You start seeing some tire wear normally once you get towards the end of the race. Your cars are empty, so they're throwing themselves around the track a little bit easier. You don't have as much weight kind of on those tires to really grip down on the track. So you get a little bit more of sliding action from the car. And yeah, we'll see if that makes any difference for Lewis Archer. Right now,
He's
Thomas
typically
going a little
very
bit
good
long.
at the end, right? And he's got newer tires, so he's
Yep.
in a good spot.
Yep, 9 laps newer for Lewis Archer than what Chris Byram has. I think our next fight will be Chris Byram here on Daniel Thomas, because he is down to 3 seconds now with 6 laps to go. You can see that gap really pushing. Down from 5 seconds to 3.4 at the beginning of the lap, but he is down to 3.3 and dropping 3.2. Byram 3.1. He's got that straight line speed that Daniel Thomas just does not have. He just made up almost a half a second on Thomas through that parabolica. I expect it to come down to the last couple laps here for Thomas and Byram. Archer with his nice, comfortable lead.
It's exciting. We're about to find out who our champion is going to be.
Yep, as of right now, it sits that Archer would be our champion. But we never call it until it's actually over. So 5 laps to go here. Thomas losing quite a bit of time per lap to Chris Byram. Another 3/10 off on that lap. Byram has him down the straight quite easily. It's in the middle sectors and the end sector where you have a lot more rotation on the car from Thomas that you'll see that he really takes advantage.
Yeah, well, he's getting that at the expense of his straight line speed for sure. That's those different setups we've talked about.
Yep, you have so many options on these cars. It's not just a low downforce, medium downforce, high downforce, and that's it. You have every single option that a real Formula Renault 3.5 car would have. it is quite the skill to be able to manipulate this car into what you have, and you really make it adapt to the track and make it, respond how you want. But there are some tracks that you have long straights and an intricate, slower sector that have a lot of twists and turns. So you'll see races like this one where you have straight line speed of Chris Byram and the flexibility in the car and the rotation of the car from Daniel Thomas. So Chris Byram will have that straight line speed, make it up in sectors 1, and then Daniel Thomas will take sector 2 and 3 normally on the timing board.
We're getting right down to the wire. 4 laps left, Alex. Can you believe it? We've been watching this all season, and we're down to just the last 4 laps here.
Yeah, it is quite amazing to see. We are down to 4 laps, 2.3 seconds from Byram. Ooh, 3.2. He went a little bit wide there. And we have 4 more laps in the IFL2 season. It's you think about it, it's exciting, like you said, but it's also a little sad because we don't have any IFL racing until February 5th will be our first race of the season for IFL2, and then February 6th will be for our F3 series. So we'll be taking a little break for the holidays. Coming back after some off season, that in between winter testing, I guess you could call it, like we see in real life. So we'll see a big influx of drivers in, a lot of testing, a lot of fun going on there. But as soon as this race ends, you'll see these drivers are still in the. These drivers are still in the practice. They're still in the sim rigs. They're going and going and going all week long. I don't expect to see a slowdown in the Discord and in the chats at all. So I think it is going to be it's going to be just a non-stop for the holiday season here. So
that's right. Not only setup tuning going on, but more practice, and of course, as we release the rest of the tracks for the next season, we're going to see some more work going into those as well.
Yep. Yeah, and we'll see, some of the same tracks we've had. We'll lose a couple tracks. We'll see some new tracks. We've gotten some new tracks from iRacing since then. So we will see a big influx in people wanting to drive the Red Bull Ring and the Hungaroring, which we did not have this season because they just released it not long ago. But we will see a big influx in drivers that want to drive the new W12 car as well. We have tons of drivers that have come into the league in the last couple weeks, and we are... the admin team is working to see how we're going to incorporate it in the next couple seasons. As of right now, Season 4. But we're looking to do some unofficial races in Season 3 and let our drivers get their feet wet and really, get used to the car before we throw a 30-driver grid out there. It's going to be a lot of fun to see that car drive. And another big point is paints. We're hoping that paints end up being a thing on the W12 as well.
Yeah, there's a lot up in the air, and of course, we'll see it in the league as soon as we are able to get it in there. And for the moment though, we've got a really great end of this race happening here, and not quite seeing the battles we thought we would, but even here, Byram is catching up with Thomas lap over lap, a little bit at a time. Not sure he's got the time left though, with 1 lap to go. Yep.
Yeah, we're coming to lap 44, so he will have a lap and the remainder of this lap. Actually, two laps and the remainder of this lap, technically. But, let's see what he can do down the straights here. He might have some DRS pushes left. You can see, I don't know if it's just me, but Byram's car just looks like it's faster.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's got pace. I'm not seeing that straight line pace in Thomas's car. But like I think we said earlier, that might be a setup difference where Thomas has got a lot more grip and probably tuning up the mechanical grip to make sure that he's got rotation in those hard corners. Whereas Byram's running a little bit less mechanical grip probably to just get his pace up.
Yep, and we see Byram getting down to that 1.4. Let's see if he can really push and put a move onto Daniel Thomas here. Oh, some great driving. 1.2 seconds now for Chris Byram. 1.1 in these high-speed sectors. 1 second behind now. Wow, they're coming to a white flag for Lewis Archer here, going through turn 1, just hoping he keeps it together. But we have Chris Byram less than a second behind Daniel Thomas and closing. Ooh, Daniel Thomas feeling the pressure. He is in that slipstream really hard right now. It's going to be great advantage for Chris Byram being that lower downforce, that higher speed car. And wow, Chris just looks like he's closing that gap so quick. He's not going to let Daniel take second without a fight here.
It's an exciting end.
I don't want to leave this fight here, but Lewis Archer will be going across the finish line in about a minute's time.
And what a great drive from Lewis Archer today.
Yeah, he well-deserved win here if he can hold it together for the last few turns, and a very well-deserved championship as well. His teammate Chris Byram, pushing a little too hard, at a little bit of an upset on the car. And we have Lewis Archer coming across the finish line, taking the win, and that also means he takes the Drivers' Championship, beats out his teammate Chris Byram. What a finish to the season.
Congratulations to Lewis. What a result. He's earned it, every last bit of it. Working hard every week, and here it is. It's showing up with a podium finish, first place finish, and the championship.
Yep, he wanted to make sure that he was the driver that finished first and got that championship. He didn't want any room for error. Great drive from the other drivers today. We have Daniel Thomas right now crossing the line, second place, looking great throughout the whole race. What a battle he had for, like we said, about 2/3 of the race, just fighting Anthony Wallace, Louis Cologne, fighting off Chris Byram there at the end and during the middle of the race. Great race from him. We see he's going to do a couple donuts here, a couple burnouts, well deserved. We have Chris Byram, Lewis Archer over there doing his own donuts. Great job from these drivers. Let's see if we can't find Chris Byram here. Cristiano doing some donuts as well. Everybody's celebrating the end of a beautiful season.
What a wonderful time to be out racing. This was such a great race today. I have to say, between Wallace and Thomas, it's hard for me to determine which is my driver of the day. I think they just both did an amazing job today and really showed their skill.
Yep, I would have to say that Daniel Thomas would have to be, since he finished the race. For me personally, great drive from Daniel, but also great drive from Anthony. It was a shame to see he got that curb a little too much, smacked the wall, and then got into Louis Cologne there. So we will give a big congratulations to both those guys for an amazing drive. But we have Byram that came in third, Cristiano Schegemann we see here in fourth, Steve Bunting in fifth, and Eric Beddoes in sixth. Sorry. We are going to try and pull these guys in for some interviews. Let's give us just a moment to get these guys in. Eli, what were some of the big highlights of the day today?
Well, I have to say, Wallace showing up and putting on a great show here. Daniel Thomas, consistent drive, consistently pushing at the top there, getting what is, I think, an unexpected podium, even given his speed. And I think the upset with Lewis Cologne going off there and getting into it with Wallace, I think that was a bit of an upset. Would have loved to have seen Cologne up there on the podium as well. And I think we've seen time and time again he's just been a really fierce competitor, really fast, and probably might have deserved it. But regardless of all of that, I think the battles we saw early on, the lap over lap over lap over lap battle between Thomas and Wallace and Cologne just going for it, and of course Byram's epic drive, consistently after his off tracks. I mean, he's just right there up at the top again. What a wonderful series of racing events, and I think some real racecraft shown today.
Yep, and we do not have Chris Byram to talk to as of right now. We're going to try and get him into the broadcast booth here in just a moment, but we have Daniel Thomas here. We're going to bring him in first. Daniel, man, what a great race. Taking home P2. Congrats.
Thank you.
You sound exhausted.
I am. Very exhausting race.
Yeah, you had fighting going on the whole time. It seemed like it just never stopped for you. There was always somebody there, always somebody fighting you. Even when you had a little bit of a break there towards the 2/3 mark of the race, you had Chris Byram creeping up slowly, and then all of a sudden he's right there, knocking on the back door saying, "Hey, I want to go by." What was going through your head that entire race? I'm sure you had so many thoughts going on.
Oh man, it was intense, man. I don't even know where to start.
Speechless. That's a good word to describe it.
There's literally, I don't know, so much going through my head, looking at, well, especially at the end of the race, looking at Chris creeping up on me slowly. Oh, it's every lap just a little closer.
Yep. Yeah, we saw you were in the middle of the two, Chris and Lewis, there for a little bit. You're actually looking at it now on the replay. You're right in the middle of the battle for the championship winner. Obviously, Lewis winning the race, he takes it home. But what are you thinking while you're in the middle of Chris and Lewis, fighting each other? There's almost like you kind of have. There's no words. It's just there's some teamwork there, and your teammates are fighting each other. But were you thinking, maybe I should get out of the way, or were you full sending it, going, hey?
Oh no, I was hungry for a podium. I didn't want to back down.
At a couple points, it looked like you might have been able to get the win there. With Byram right in front of you, you're chasing him down, Lewis behind you. Anything can happen out on the track, and you proved today that you had the speed and had the consistency. So.
Yep, had a few moments here and there, then that just created a gap between me and first place. But yeah, I still held on and took P2.
Yep, yeah, and we saw Anthony Wallace, his first race in the IFL 2. Was right there with you battling for a good majority of the race. He ended up crashing and got into Lewis Cologne, which they both ended up having to retire from the race. But were you expecting that from Anthony Wallace there, that kind of battle, being in his first race ever in the IFL 2?
Not really. It kind of took me by surprise of like how he was right with me the whole time, and he's actually a really good driver, and well, that today just kind of proved that, because we were literally battling for I don't know, more than half the race.
Yep.
It was intense.
Yep. Yeah, it was a shame to see him go off. He was doing such a great job. such a clean race too from you guys. Normally we see that going on, and something's got to give eventually, and somebody will bump somebody or go off or run wide. We saw a couple times where drivers had run a little bit wide, but kept it going, kept it in the right direction. No real big wrecks except for Wallace hitting the wall and getting together with Cologne. T1 was clean, so overall a great clean race from everybody. So, congrats on how clean it was, but it just, you guys put on a great show. There's no more to say except for that. But we'll be moving on to our next interview here in just a moment. Any shout outs that you want to give, Daniel, while you have the stage? We might have lost Daniel. I believe we have. So, no shout-outs for Daniel. We will be bringing in our third place driver, Chris Byram, in his place. So, Chris, man, how is it going after that race? We saw some really big pushes from you.
Yeah, disappointing. Sort of is what it is, isn't it, really? I mean, my tactic at the beginning was just, I need to get ahead of Lewis, and then just try and back him up. I was hoping there would be a few more people in contention, like Shegerton, Baukamp. I don't really know what happened at the start. I've not checked back. So I thought, I'll try and slow the pace down a little bit, go defensive, and then back him up so he can then get taken and then blast off. But I couldn't do that all the race because it's not particularly fair. You can only do it for so much. So once Daniel got past him, I thought, right, I need to try and put a gap in. And then I seen he got past, and I was just thinking, I hope that he will try and push the gap to me and either make a mistake or get caught up in something. But then unfortunately, I was setting fast times, and I just took too much curb going through on that right hand side, and just a bit too much throttle, and ended up spinning me. So yeah, but then I was 9.3 back, and then I noticed, well, I think I was a little bit more back than that, and then I noticed that the gap was coming down, and then I managed to get past Anthony Wallace and then Daniel, and then Daniel did a very ambitious lunge going into the hairpin, and he just cracked me in my side, and that ended up costing me sort of 2 seconds a lap, so it sort of ruined my strategy really, because I ended up having to pit a lot sooner than I wanted to, and then that meant I had to do the second stint on my second stint longer on the tyres, so my tyres were just shredded at the end, and mixed with sort of anger at my own frustration, anger at Daniel for pinging me off. It's just mistakes being made, but
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I try to put everything, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of what ifs and buts, and you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, Lewis did it. He managed to win it, and it's been an exciting sort of last sort of 6 races to the championship. So hopefully it sort of sets a precedent for season 3. Is it yet season 3? And hopefully come back and be even more competitive next season.
Yep. Yeah. It is quite a bittersweet thing to be coming to the end of the season. It was a great fight. You guys put on a great show. We must have missed the contact with Daniel. We had fights going on all over the track today, so we didn't quite see that. It's a shame that you had a little bit of damage, but we saw Daniel take second place for the first time, I believe, podium in the IFL2. He was fighting hard, and we asked him already if he was giving you guys space and just gonna let you guys by and go, and he was like, well, I don't think so. He said he was going to fight tooth and nail and try and get the podium. He was hungry for it. So, like you said, maybe a little too ambitious going into it, and might have put a damper on the championship run.
It's one of them. It's like you've got 2 people fighting for a championship. At that point, I was over a second faster than him. I was doing 25.5s, and he was still he was doing 26.6s at that point. You know what I mean? He could have tried to just cling onto the back of me. So I ain't gonna lie, I'm really disappointed with the sort of move he pulled. It ruined my opportunity. It would have been a really tough call, because even if I would have been able to catch up with Lewis, I mean that was you know what I mean, that would have been really hard to do. But if I would have done that, then I'm relying on other things to unfold, and you know what I mean, it looked to swing my way, but it just ruined that sort of my mentality of going for that. So my last sort of shot to try and get up to him and cause something, you know what I mean. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, we'll see some fireworks, I'm sure, in race 1 of season 3 between yourself and Lewis, and maybe even between Daniel Thomas.
Well,
you know,
I ain't going to leave Daniel much space if that's the way he wants to race going into season 3. You know what I mean? He's set a precedent now, mate. If that's how he wants to race, then I'll give it as hard as he's going to get, mate, and then he will regret doing that. So.
Well, we'll see how it goes. Season 3, race 1.
Yeah.
We have a long off season for things to unfold, so we'll leave you at that. Any shout outs you want to give, Chris, to anybody out there?
Yeah, you know, to Lewis again, like, hats off, mate. Like, you know what I mean? I wanted to get that 5th win as well, even if I didn't win the championship, but he managed to do it. He's done it. It's been a lot closer this season. Hats off to him. He's been able to do sort of F3 and F2 back to back. And then to all the guys that race, and then yourselves for all your admin duties and the broadcast you put on. It's fantastic. It makes IFL what it is, and it's a good league to be in. So thanks for all the efforts. It's fantastic.
Yep, and we'll be looking for you to put up a real big fight, not just for drivers, but for constructors against your teammate.
Is Sim Sharks, I'm telling you. Lewis has made a mistake of kicking me off. I was the best teammate he would have ever had. So,
well,
yeah.
1 and 2, and both fighting for the championship of the drivers. It's hard to have a team better than that. But we'll leave you at that.
Dream team, mate.
Yep. Have a great rest of the night. Great podium. Really good fight there at the end of the season. We were really rooting for an upset and some sparks, but you know, great attempt, great job, and we'll see you in season 3, Chris.
Yeah, take care. Ta-da.
All right, that was Chris Byram, your third place, second place in the Drivers' Championship to this man, Lewis Archer, bringing him up into the booth. Your race winner, but your Drivers' Championship winner as well as Constructors Team Owner winner. He's just won all the prizes this year, huh, Lewis?
I can't speak properly, mate. Not after that one.
It was quite the race. You had a great run there. Chris, a couple incidents happening with him sliding off track and a little bit of damage from Daniel Thomas, but overall great race. You still got the win. You know, some great pace from the guys behind you. You kept them at arm's length and were able to fend them off and get the win and take the championship. So congrats.
I haven't slept properly in about 14 days.
This championship weighing on you, huh?
Yep, it's just been, and I just found myself, I just couldn't, and in the end, I knew that was going to be a challenge. It's going to be a struggle to sleep, to prepare myself for this race, and I made sure that I ate well last night and I slept well, and the kids, they gave me a break, and I did actually manage to get that big old nice block of sleep in there. I woke up today, head was prepared, clean mind, clean body, clean everything. I did everything I could, started practicing nice and early. I had a few options of strategy with varying fuel loads, depends on what happened in practice and what happened in quali, depends on what people were setting pace wise. I had like 3 paces I was going to choose from, and in the end I went for option B, which was for 30 laps of fuel and a 26 flat lap time. And actually Chris had slightly more than that at the beginning of the race. I had a good fight with him again, not really willing to risk too much. Do you know what I mean? I have a little ding dong, but at the end of the day I didn't need the win. And so he was kind of gapping me, and really, I mean, it was a horrible thing for me to see him spin. That was really, I didn't want to win it like that. I wanted him to at least get the win today and have something there. And then, of course, after he spun, I just kept doing 26-2, 26-1, 26 flat, just kept doing exact pace, got to lap 30, pitted, came out, cautious, and I just ran it exact. Oh, my God.
Yep, it was quite the run there, quite the fight going on behind you between Thomas and Wallace and even Louis Cologne, that was kind of putting a wall in between yourself and Chris Byram after he had messed up. So he had 3 cars to go by to try and get caught up to you. So that definitely played a factor and made an effect on his ability to get by. When there's a 3-car wall that you're trying to get through in order to get to, the first place and to get the points that you need to win the championship, it makes it hard, and it's mentally taxing, it's physically taxing. And like you said, you prepared this morning, you ate well, you got sleep. A race this long and for this much and with this much pressure, it takes its toll on you.
Yeah, that's it. I had a 78 point gap or something going into Spa, and just one nightmare, or going into Imola or something. I think the biggest gap that I had was pre-Imola, which was 5 races ago. And I could have sealed it then, didn't, because I had a bad race. Could have gone to Spa, my wheel shot a bolt on me in the middle of the race. I could have sealed it then, didn't. Could have gone to whatever the 2 rounds were after that, Silverstone, since Imola I've been able to wrap this up, and it's just moved one step further away from me every single time. And we came to, I just want to say now, absolutely massive kudos to Chris for having that 78 point gap and not giving up and reducing it to 13. Just race win after race win after race win. So yeah, it felt major to be pushed to the line, but it's over. It's over. All 18 rounds, it's actually over. I can actually just deal with it in my head now. And
yep, it's a bittersweet. We've been saying, it's something that we've been, expecting and are excited that we finally have a champion. Once again, congrats. But now it's over. We have a gap all the way till February 5th. We won't have any official racing yet. It's all off season, winter testing, and then we're back at it again, season 3. So it's got that yep, we got it. We got our champion, but we're sad that we won't be able to do this for a little while. So we're excited for season 3. What do you think's gonna happen season 3 with Chris jumping teams? You're gonna have new drivers filing in, new teams filing in. What are you expecting out of season 3?
Well, season 3 is definitely going to be a lot more competitive. I do believe that. I feel like the re-energizing of the league and it being the start of the season, and I think it really will inspire everyone. We've got a massive list of drivers already signing up and things like that. But winning season 1 felt amazing. I'll never be able to explain how amazing, because that was my first sim racing championship of anything I've ever done. I was a sim racer for a long time. So to get that sim race, and it wasn't for Chris. So Chris, previously, in our previous rounds of different games and things like that, he's pipped me to a championship twice. So now we're even. That is it. In my head, we're now even. He stole it from me. We were fighting for a championship years ago in a bunch of BMWs, and it came down to me or him, 230 points to 238 or something like that, and he won twice. So the fact that it's done that again, and it just means so much. It means an enormous amount for me to lay that bar down in season 1, get into the bigger equipment, double the horsepower, double the downforce, double the brakes, longer season, longer races, just press up on all of the challenges. And I just had to go out there and re-deliver on the bar I'd set from season 1. I'm just so happy I've managed to do that. But yeah, pressure on for season 3 to defend in the same car. And I really think it's going to be really difficult. I think the fire is going to be right underneath Chris. He came very close this season. I do actually think towards the end of the season there, he was driving better than me.
Yeah, he took, I think it was, four wins in a row there at the end?
More than me in a row. I did 3 in a row back in, I think, Barcelona and Canada and Long Beach were my 3 in a row. And he's managed to do 4. So, it's, incredible, really.
Yep, and now he'll be over at SimSharks, fielding a team to try and combat you. He has Ivan Baukamp racing for him. Do you have an F2 driver picked out yet?
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, we can talk a little bit more about this now because it's over and the competition between this season is done. But the main impetus for Chris to move away from the team was actually to gain that competitive edge on me. So although Kuda is great for him, he's been great for him. He's been in the team that's won the constructors every single time he's entered this league, and he's finished P2 both times. To really challenge for that P1, I think he just in himself, he just feels like he needs to separate the practice. He needs to separate the car setups. He needs to separate his prep work from mine, instead of doing a lot of it together like we were, or for at least the first 13 or 14, the meat and pie of this championship, we were working together. And I think he feels like if he didn't do that, and had another teammate that he could work with and push and use that teammate as well against me, and make a whole constructors entity, he's got more of a fight. He's got more weapons in his arsenal and yeah, I will be in a weaker position, because whoever I pick surely won't be as strong as Chris as a teammate, because he's finished P2 every time. So I assume no different next. I predict he will be my toughest competitor next year, because again, it's gloves off. He's in a different team, and he doesn't have to play the team game thing, and that's it. It's another element. You can really just throw 100% of it at that, because you don't have to worry about it being your teammate. But yes, my teammate for season 2 will be Rob Sliter, taking one of the guys from the Evo team. But yeah, so he's got a lot to learn. I do believe in him. It's just a case of getting his consistency up, and really giving him the chance and the backup to be there in a championship winning team that has a lot of accolades and a lot of points, and try to keep up with that regime every week, because it's a very different one from what he's used to. But yeah, season 3 is looking incredible. But like you said, we've got a lot of time off now to February, and I am pooped, man. I'm exhausted.
Well, we're going to let you go so you can go get some rest, go celebrate. You have an entire off season. Like we said, you won the constructors, you won the drivers, and now you get a little bit of a rest, the off season to celebrate, and we will be hitting it again season 3, February 5th. But we have tomorrow. The F3 race will be going on. That is the season finale. The constructors is up for grab between 3 teams, and we have a driver who has been running away with the Drivers' Championship, Caitlin Height, trying to single-handedly take the constructors from a couple teams. So we're going to be excited to see that. Lewis, before we go, do you have any shout-outs for anybody?
Oh, this is the last time that we're going to do this now till February, so I definitely cannot miss just everyone involved with the IFL. I mean, I've said this a few times, but really honestly, the ups and downs, the ebb and flow, it is a lovely place to be. The admin are awesome. We deal with things really professionally. The drivers that turn up every week, I mean, that's just super exciting. It has more dynamic every single week. The F3 drivers, I can't wait to see some of those guys step up to the F2 next season. I can't wait to see this final round, like you say, tomorrow. And I assume that'll be craziness, because it's the last race they have as well. But yeah, to our sponsors, Majors Garage, LTD Designs and Butt Kicker, Automoto News and that, this is it. It's just an ever-growing thing. And I want to respect every single part of it growing. It's a beautiful thing, and may it continue to grow in season 3 and season 4, 5, 6, 7. Just keep going, and that's it.
Yeah, well, we'll let you go so you can celebrate. Thank you again for such a great season, such a great performance. We really do thank you for everything you do for the league as well. So we will see you in season 3, Lewis.
February. Catch you guys later.
All right, Eli, this is it. This is the last time we broadcast for season 2. Anything you want to say before we sign off here?
Well, this was an excellent German Grand Prix. Nothing less than what we could have hoped for. I also want to thank our sponsors, Butt Kicker, Designs Ltd., Automoto News, Majors Garage, and of course GTR Graphics providing our standings cards and a number of the support graphics for our broadcasts. And thank you, Alex, for joining me for these broadcasts every week for the last few weeks. It's been a fun time. I'll look forward to hopefully doing it with you again in the future, if not seeing you on the grid driving.
Yep, I agree. It's been a pleasure, Eli. Just doing these broadcasts with you. It has been so much fun this season, and we look forward to seeing hopefully some new faces, some new drivers, and some drivers into some new classes promoting up. We really have to thank the sponsors. Like you said, Designs Ltd., Butt Kicker, Major's Garage, and our new sponsor for next season, Demon Tweaks, which will be joining us and will be fielding a car in the F3 series for sure, probably the F2 series as well, to help us out, giving out some prizes. So thank you to all of them. Great season from all the drivers and all of the admin. We can't do it without you guys. You guys make it the the season that it is and the racing that it is. So we thank all of you, everybody out there, viewers. If you guys haven't yet, sign up. We'll put a link in the YouTube channel here, so you guys can sign up right after we are done broadcasting. But we hope to see some of you guys in there. Until then, February 5th, we are signing off, and we will see you later.